მოგესალმებით. მე გახლავართ თანატყოჩას ბრიტანეთის საბჭოში ინგლისური ენის პროექტების ხელმძღვანელი. დიდ მადლობას მოგასცემთ მოგზაურობისთვის. მე მინდა დიდ მადლობა გადავუხადო ილიას სახელმწიფო უნივერსიტეტის ხელმძღვანელობას, რამე თუ ილიას უნივერსიტეტი დღეს მას პრიზობს ინგლისური ენის კონკურსის საფინალო ღონისძიებას. დიდი მადლობა და განაგრძობთ დღევანდელი ღონისძიების წესრიგს. პირველ რიგში მე სიტყვას გადავცემ ჩვენს მასპინძლებს და საპატიო სტუმრებს, შემდეგ წარმოგიდგენთ ჟიურის წევრებს, შემდეგ საკითხავთ მოუხმობ კონკურსის ფინალისტებს, რომლებიც გააკეთებენ თავიანთი ნამუშევრების პრეზენტაციას. შემდეგ უკვე ჟიური გამოაყენს გამარჯვებულ პრიზიორ ფინალისტებს და მოხდება დაჯილდოება. სულ ეს არის პირველ რიგში სიტყვას გადავცემ ბატონ ზაზაფურცალაძეს, ბრიტანეთის საბჭოს დირექტორს საქართველოში. მოგესალმებით.
მოგესალმებით, ძალიან დღეს კონკურსის ფინალია, კონკურსისა, რომლის თავარდება გახლავთ ასოცირების ევროპასთან ასოცირების ხელშეკრულება და მულტილინგვალიზმი, ენების უცხო შესწავლის ამოცილობა, ზუსტად ამ კონტექსტში ალბათ აუდიტორიის კარგოში თქვენ შესაძლებლობა გქონდათ შეხვედრებით დიდი ბრიტანეთის ხელს, კონკურსის ასამბლეის სპიკერს და შესაძლებლობა გქონდათ აგრეთვე კითხვები, რომელსაც ალბათ თქვენ წესრიგში და შემდეგ ამ ვიდეო მოხსენებებში გამოიყენებთ. მე მინდა ძალიან დიდი მადლობა გადავუხადო, რა თქმა უნდა, ილიას სახელმწიფო უნივერსიტეტს, რომ შესაძლებლობა მოგვეცა ჩვენი სტუდენტებისთვის, რომელსაც ჩვენ ასწავლეთ ინგლისურს ილიას სახელმწიფო უნივერსიტეტში, ჩამოგედებინა აუდიტორისთვის ესეთი საინტერესო კონკურსი. უგუნსენი მადლობა მინდა გადავუხადო დიდი ბრიტანეთის საბჭოს, რომელიც პროექტის პარტნიორია და სწორედ ამ პარტნიორების პარკებში მოხდა შესაძლებელი დიდი ბრიტანეთის ხელშტანდა უელსის პარლამენტის სპიკერთან შეხვედრა. და რა თქმა უნდა, კონკურსის, რომელმაც გადაჭერითაც შესაძლებლობა მოგვეცა დაგვეცესებინა ისეთი პრიზი, როგორც არის პროგრამით კულტურული ვიზიტი ბრიტანეთში, ერთკვირიანი პროგრამით ამბოლატორიაზე მისამართლებელი შეხვედრები მოხდა უმასიმატოვებთან თანამშრომლობის. მე თავში გასცემ და მინდა როგორც ისეთ ხოლო დირექტორს
მადლობა. მე შეგვიძლია მოგლიდო თქვენ ხართ და მე ჩვენ გამოვისდეთ და მომისმენთ თქვენ და უფრო საინტერესო უნდა რაც მინდა გითხრათ, რომ ძალიან ხშირშესანიშნავი დღე, იმიტომ რომ ჩვენ ამ დღესასწაულზე უცხო ასოცირების შეთანხმების ხელმოწერას, მაგრამ არა ორი მიკროფონი ამის პრაქტიკული კუთხით იხსენებათ, რომ შეუძლებელია ევროპაში თუ განვითარებულ სამყაროში ინტეგრაცია იმის გარეშე, რომ ვიცოდეთ უცხო ენა და პირველ რიგში ინგლისური ენა, ამიტომაც თქვენი პრინციპში გადაგამეორებთ ძალიან კარგი მისვლით და ჩვენ ვაწერებ უხაროები, რომ დღეს ამის მომსა გავხდებით ზუსტად და მეც მინდა ძალიან დიდი მადლობა გადავუხადო ბრიტანეთის საბჭოს, იმის რომ ის არის ჩვენი ძალიან კარგი პარტნიორი, ის უნავს ჩვენი სტუდენტების ინგლისური ენის ცოდნაზე, როგორც ასეთი სტანდარტული კურიკულუმის ფარგლებში, აი ესეთი, როგორც ეძახიან ხოლმე ექსტრაკურიკულური, ანუ არა კონკრეტული სასწავლო-კულტურის ფარგლებში დაიგეგმილი ღონისძიებებით და შესაბამისად მე დარწმუნებული ვარ, ეს თანამშრომლობა გაგრძელდება, ასეთი ტიპის ღონისძიებების აუცილებლად გაგრძელდება, თქვენ კი თხოვნებას უსწრო წარმატებას.
დიდი მადლობა. სიტყვას გადავცემ საბატონ თამარ ჩანდრაძეს, ბრიტიშ პეტროლიუმში კომუნიკაციის ჯგუფის ხელმძღვანელს.
მე მინდა ვთქვათ, რომ ჩვენ დღეს ავხდით იმის გამო, რომ ძალიან კარგი პარტნიორული პროექტები და ჩვენი პარტნიორი ამ შემთხვევაში არის ბრიტანეთის საბჭო. ძალიან მიხარია, რომ წარმატებით მიმდინარეობს ყველაფერი, რასაც ისინი ახორციელებენ თქვენთან ერთად და მიხარია, რომ ჩვენც მოგვეცა ის საშუალება, რომ ეს პრიზი დავაწესოთ. იმედი მაქვს, რომ თქვენი მოგზაურობა გაიმარჯვებს, ბრიტანეთში იქნება ძალიან სასიამოვნო, დასამახსოვრებელი და უფრო მეტად დაინტერესდებით, რომ გაიგოთ ყველაფერი რიგის შესახებ საქართველოში.
წარმოგიდგენთ ჩვენი ჟიურის საპატიო წევრებს, ბატონი გიგა ზედანია, სახელმწიფო უნივერსიტეტის რექტორი, ქალბატონი ნინო ჟვანია, რომელიც გახლავთ ილიას სახელმწიფო უნივერსიტეტის ხარისხის უზრუნველყოფის დეპარტამენტის ხელმძღვანელი, შემდეგ ბატონი ზაზაფურცალაძე, ბრიტანეთის საბჭოს დირექტორი, ქალბატონი მარია როგავა, რომელიც გახლავთ ილიას სახელმწიფო უნივერსიტეტის აკადემიური საბჭოს წევრი და ინგლისური ენის ექსპერტი და ქალბატონი სოფო ბერიშვილი, რომელიც გახლავთ პროექტების მენეჯერი, წარმომადგენელი ბრიტანეთის საბჭოში საქართველოში. კარგით, გადავიდეთ ყველაზე მნიშვნელოვან ნაწილზე ჩვენი ღონისძიების, მე ვთხოვ ჟიურის წევრებს, რომ გადაგზავნեն რომ მოისმინონ თქვენი მონაწილეების პრეზენტაციები და საკითხავად გამოვაცხადებთ მონაწილეების საფუძვლებს და კვირას. როგორც თქვენთვის იქნება მოსახერხებელი მიმართავ მონაწილეებს, შეგიძლიათ ამ მიკროფონით ისარგებლოთ, შეგიძლიათ აი ამ მიკროფონითაც ისარგებლოთ, როგორც თქვენ ხდებათ. პირველ რიგში მოვიწვევ ანული გოგიას, რომელიც წარმოადგენს მის დამშევარს. იმესალმო და გავამხნევთ.
Learning something new can be a school experience. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was learning English. I was always a lazy person from my childhood, but I understand that English was a very important language because it's an international language, and if I wanted to be successful, I had to learn it. First of all, why should we learn a language? Learning a foreign language takes time and dedication, but in spite of this, we still learn. So, what is reason? Some reasons are aspirational, some practical, some intellectual and sentimental, but whatever your reasons are, having a clear idea of why your learning a language can help you motivate you in your studies. So it helped me when I was learning English, so it helped you too, maybe. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of reasons why we should learn foreign language, but most of important is studying abroad. If you plan to study at a foreign university, college or school, you will need a good knowledge of the local language. The next reason is culture. Culture is one of the most important reasons to study a language. Maybe you are interested in the literature, poetry, film, TV program, music, or some other aspect of the culture of people who speak a particular language and want to learn their language in order to gain a better understanding of their culture. And in conclusion, I want to say that one language is never enough because understanding foreign people is very important. Each person has something to teach us, show us a new way we can look at life, or explain a tradition we have never known about. So, people, learn foreign languages to be able to communicate to the world. Thank you.
აქვე მინდა შეგახსენოთ ის კრიტერიუმები, რითაც ფასდება გამოსვლელების პრეზენტაციები. ეს გახლავთ პირველ რიგში თემატიკისადმი რელევანტურობა, ანუ თემა უნდა ეხებოდეს აუცილებლად უცხო ენის სწავლებას და ზოგადად ამ ენების მნიშვნელობას. მეორე კრიტერიუმი გახლავთ ენობრივი კომპეტენცია, ხოლო მესამე კრეატიულობა. კარგით, მოვიწვევ გვანცა ნინუას, რათა გავუჟიაროთ თავისი მოსაზრება ამ თემასთან დაკავშირებით. ანაბებებს ვისურვებ.
It's not corrupt language, then we can also corrupt that. I am Guantanamo and those are not my words. They belong to Georgia actually, and I think they perfectly express my opinion about why language plays an important role in determining the way we think. First of all, I would like to tell you why I think language in general is an important issue. When something big happens, in the 21st century, we have an opportunity to to see the news on TV, or just go online and Google everything. However, I think there's still a problem I will clean up. There's a problem in miscommunication when the world is transforming quickly in so many different ways, and as human beings, we're affected by this transformation. So we want to be able and to keep up with the changes. But quite often in the world of meaningless communication, we're not able to do so. And sometimes I find myself wondering what the news really says, or what I Google and what it really means. This problem is the most relevant in case of political issues, when those who have the power to make decisions do not take time to explain the essence of these reforms using the language everybody understands. I mean, sometimes I watch the news and I think it might well be Jane Joy's only one of his stories because it's so difficult to understand. And I think it's important for people to really communicate their ideas in a way that everybody understands. And the majority of people, I think, or at least I hope, that find themselves in the same position. However, to be fair, language can never reflect any kind of objective or universally accepted reality. As any thought that crosses my mind or anybody else's, for that matter, is biased and influenced by social constructed norms and ideals. For example, the color green for me means the greenness of leaves and fig tree growing in my yard, and which is completely different from the greenness of snow boots or a coat my hypothetical reader from Siberia would think of if it was real, of course. And the language plays a significant role in how we perceive the world, as it is the most accessible medium through which we communicate our experiences in the environment surrounding us. Every word or action is first formed as a thought, as an idea, and the way we think is built up over time. There are many factors that determine our thinking process, and therefore our language, such as political system and historical background of the country we come from, or the location or size of the society we live in. These factors determine what kind of standards people have, and these standards and customs are usually imprinted in the conscience of every human being, and they work as a mold or the filter that our thoughts go through. Every culture has its own uniqueness, but some are more radically different than others, which is often reflected in languages. For example, Georgian language has more diverse family-related words than English. We have words for relatives such as sister or brother of one's husband, and if you really dig deeper, it becomes ridiculous. And there are words for there's a word for husbands of the sisters. It's crazy for all the wondering what I'm talking about. And Such abundance of words for family members is most likely a result of the fact that family ties are stronger in Georgia than in most of the Western countries that I know of. So overall cultural characteristics that vary in every country shape the way people think and speak. As a famous comedian George Carlin once said, meow means wolf in cat. So the question is, does it really, or does it depend on the cat's social background? Thank you.
ჩემი თხოვნა იქნება, თუ შეიძლება რომ პრეზენტაციის დროს შევინარჩუნოთ სიჩუმე, გთხოვთ, იმიტომ რომ არ ნერვიულოს გამოსწავლა და დაჟიურის მიცეს საშუალება, რომ შეაფასოს ძალიან ობიექტურად და ყველაფერი მოისმინოს, რაც საჭიროა. კარგით, შემდეგი მონაწილე გახლავთ, გამოსვლელი გახლავთ მარია მინდიაშვილი, ილიას კლასს და გამოვლინდა.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ilyas. Today in my presentation, I'm going to talk to you about what it would be like if all countries spoke the same language. For me, language is one piece of humanity. Let's imagine losing the languages of the world to one global one. Next, imagine a world in which most people could speak a global language, but still had their native language as a primary form of communication. Being able to communicate with people from all over the world would open up huge opportunities, but otherwise it would be extremely difficult. This, of course, raises the question of which language we would use. Some might say that we already have world language, English. English is spoken more than 100 countries around the world, making it by far the most global language on earth. There are certainly other languages which are spoken by more of the peoples from the world's people, such as Mandarin Chinese and Hindi. However, Mandarin Chinese and Hindi are spoken only 16 and 17 countries. Now I'm going to show you 3 of the most spoken languages around the world. These are Mandarin Chinese, which has 30% of world population speakers. Then goes Spanish with 6%, and last is English with 5%. Now let's see how many native speakers these 3 countries have. Mandarin Chinese has 995 million native speakers. Then goes Spanish with 405 million speakers, and last is English with 360 million speakers. English will be the language of global communication at the moment, but one thing is unlikely to change. People will always cling to their native language, whether or not it confers some competitive advantage. That's because language is more than just a method of communication. It's a link to our personal identity, and that's much more important to, I think. Languages can mean something. For example, French, in my opinion, is a romantic language, and Italian is exciting. This is for me. To my mind, in this case, world would be so boring. It's like if there was only one type of music. Okay, that's all for today. If you have any questions, I'll be pleased to answer them.
დიდი მადლობა. შემდეგი პრეზენტერი გახდათ მარიამ ფერიშვილი.
Hello, my name is Mariam Hemshruga, and I'm the first-year student at the State University. And today I'm going to be talking about languages, obviously. When I first heard about the contest, I was very happy because the essay writing contest would be about languages. And since I love the topic, I thought that writing it would be very easy. So at home, I sat in front of my computer screen, and I probably sat there for 3 days straight, not writing a single word. That was probably because I wanted to say too much and didn't know where to start from. So I decided to start from the basic point. What does the word language mean? In Webster Dictionary, word language is defined as the system of words or signs that people use to express thoughts and feelings to each other. We use languages to express our thoughts, our emotions, to communicate with each other. But is it the language's only purpose? Was the question I asked. And the little voice inside my head said, no, it isn't. But I had only 250 words, and I had to show everyone that it is not its only purpose. In my own experience, I've been acquainted with a lot of languages. I started with Georgian, then I learned Russian, then English, then Japanese, and now I'm learning French. So I decided to use my experience to showcase how languages can be different. I think they are the shortcut to learning about people's culture, about their thought, how they think, how they behave. And also, I've also learned from my experience that reading anything in original is much different. Because you're hurting as the author is hurting, and you're crying as the author is crying. But to show that, I decided to take words. I found out that some words just don't have analogs in other languages. You just have to describe them with sentences and sentences. For example, and since I'm most comfortable in Georgian, because it is my mother tongue, in Georgian we have a word that has something to do with eating, because we Georgians love to eat. And it's called shomejama. And it means to accidentally having get something. I mean, when you're having a dinner, and you're not hungry anymore, you eat. But there's this perfect piece of chocolate sitting on top of the table, and you're looking at it, and it's looking at you, and you're like, I'm just going to take one bite, and then one turns into two, and two turns into three, and you just ate a whole piece of chocolate, and it's called shomejama. And right now, if any of you are going to ask me questions, because I'm very nervous and because I'm shaking, I'm probably not going to be very good at answering them. But I'm probably going to go home, I'm going to take subway ride, and on there I'm going to go, Mom, you should have said that. And for that, there's a perfect expression in French. It's called l'esprit d'escalier, which means to come up with a perfect retort too late. And those are just two examples, since I only had 250 words. But I think they showcase how languages allow you to see everything that you see from one point to another point. I think they allow you to widen your imagination and to be more creative and unique. If languages did disappear, then different ways of thinking would disappear. And if not anything else, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you in this language. Thank you very much.
დიდი მადლობა. შემდეგი პრეზენტერი გახლავთ მარიკა დეისაძე. ხალხ.
Hello, my name is Marika Deisadze, and today I want to speak about learning languages. The issue about the importance of learning languages in our present-day conditions might arouse much controversy among people of different backgrounds, emotional concepts, and perspectives. While some believe that you can deal with the problems encountered in modern society with one language if it's broadly spoken. Others maintain that the more languages you know, the more successful you are. Both supporters and opponents present convincing arguments. Prior giving my estimation, I want to analyze the two sides of the coin. Supporters of this issue present different reasons why they think that getting hold of mastery of languages has the decisive implication in this day and age in their words. It goes without saying that polyglots have the ample array of opportunities to cope up any obstacles with flying colors. They comprise likelihood to acquire superior education, whether it's schooling, tutoring, or getting instructions. They enclose access to universities in broader scale. They can find themselves drawn in any programs they wish and convert their education to a viable directions. Furthering the thought, it gives you the green light towards well-paid jobs. Applicants with the aptitude of speaking diverse languages are straightforwardly supposed to be shortlisted on conscious positions with furthering promoting opportunities. Opponents of this view argue that you can transact any problem effortlessly on the way of success with knowing a single language if it's mostly spoken in the world. By and large, they mean English due to common fact of being the international language with versatile practice. People having the proper knowledge of English are broadly welcomed in any addresses, and they are not supposed to mark the quandary of being dialect. Further speaking, they have the drop-free access on any reader facets ranging from scientific text to plain social stuff. For example, films, songs, random communications, while traveling, all provided by the widespread use of English. In this, this is only language which is demanded on superior level at world-famous educational institutions. If you look over the admission requirements in top-ranking universities, you will receive that there is no set of standardized tests which don't encompass English, usually on advanced level of course. The higher the score, the stronger the opportunity of being required in your desirable faculty. When taking into account all these merits and drawbacks that I have enumerated, we can safely arrive to the conclusion that having the knowledge of a language towering in an exciting civilization has a vital importance, but having the endeavors of applying the other ones soundly visibly judicious. Being a polyglot not only gives accessibility on present-day amenities, but increases your scope of thinking and broadens the horizon of your mind. And for profound thinkers, what seems to be far more fascinating and awesome. And I want to say one Georgian proverb: the more languages you know, the more men you are. So let's start learning languages. Thank you for your attention.
მარიკა. შემდეგი გამოსვლები გახლავთ ნათია ბეკიაშვილი. ხო?
Hi everybody, my name is Natia Bekiashvili, and today I'm going to speak about the importance of learning languages these days. When I was 9 years old, I remember that math teachers told me how important is it to learn foreign languages. They told me you are going to learn Russian and English as foreign languages. At this time, I didn't understand it. I was thinking, why should I learn foreign languages? How will learning languages help me with my life, with my future? And now I understand. Now I have some answers about these questions. And I want to say that we live in the era of globalization when cultures and relationships have never been so close. And accordingly, there are different reasons why it is important to learn foreign languages these days. First of all, learning languages gives us ability to get a well-paid and challenging job we want. When we are able to speak in other languages, communicate in other languages, we are far more valuable to an employer. We can be also part of international business that includes all commercial transactions like both governmental and private sales, also investments and transportation. And also we all know that the competition for jobs can be intense, and in case our skills are similar to other candidates' skills, knowing foreign languages helps us to to get this job we want. And another reason why I think that learning foreign languages is important is that learning languages makes us smarter. Because knowing languages improves our brain's so-called executive function. I mean, it's a common system that directs all processes that we use for planning, solving problems, and also performing other mentally demanding tasks like switching information from one thing to another, so holding information in our mind. And we should also mention that learning a language goes hand in hand with understanding a certain culture. And so, for example, if we want to learn British, Chinese, or Kenyan culture, we should speak some English, Mandarin, and Swahili. A language shapes how we think about the world, and accordingly, there are as many different ways of thinking in the world as many languages. And for example, I want to give some examples about English. We have blue and green colors, right? And they are different colors. But in Vietnamese, these two colors are only the different shades of the same color. And in Vietnamese word that is pronounced like sun is the color of those tree leaves and the sky. And also, what is more is that there exists language in the world that is called and it is spoken by an indigenous group in Australia, and this language does not use words like right, left, behind, in front of, and instead this language uses cardinal directions like north, south, east, and west. And I think that these examples show us how different the attitude of foreign languages towards the world is. And when we learn a foreign language, we get closer to people who are its speakers and their society and their life. And when we learn a language, we learn about other cultures, we learn about our brothers and sisters on this planet. And at the end, I want to say that we had really better learn foreign languages because in the world that is extremely interdependent, we can't no longer afford to stay monolinguals. We should learn foreign languages. It is a necessity nowadays. Thank you for
ძალიან საინტერესო გამოსვლია ჩემთვის ისეთი, იმიტომ რომ ძალიან ბევრი ინფორმაცია შევეცვა სხვადასხვა ენების, თავისებურებების და კულტურების შესახებ, რომ ჩემთვის პირადად ძალიან საინტერესო ეს გამოსვლები. დიდი მადლობა. რომან ოთარაშოს
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings. I'm not going to bother you with any fancy-looking visual instructions or anything. And without further ado, I'll go straight to the topic and tell you why I think that in the future there won't be so many different languages in the world. Well, a language is a complex system of communication, and we have many versions of this system around the world. Some of them used by millions, others not so popular, and many of them dead already. But what does the future of languages hold, one might ask? Well, I think it's not that hard to predict. A language is a great medium of communication, but the abundance of them definitely is a communicative obstacle between people of different national and cultural belongings. And why don't we just choose one particular language, use it worldwide and kill off the rest? It's impossible. Or is it? I think it's an ongoing process already. And it has nothing to do with the dominance of Mandarin or English. It's something else entirely, and I'll tell you what. The modern epoch and its products, mainly internet, enable us to exchange information around the world at the speed of light. And because of that, another process has been triggered. The number of borrowings in almost every language is increasing faster than they used to. In other words, languages are mixing with one another. So only a certain amount of time is needed for the complete disappearance of the majority of them. Therefore, I believe that only a couple of languages will be left in the nearest centuries. But let's switch gears for now and talk about really distant future. I mean, after many millennia. If we as a race survive that long, due to the lack of resources and rapidly growing population, we can't stay on Earth. We have to abandon it, and not only do we have to colonize Mars, the Moon, and other places in our solar system, but we have to venture to the stars and other planetary systems as well. But as you all know, humans aren't designed for space travel. They have, especially very long one, they have a short lifespan, need breathable air, food, water, protection from the radiation, and the list goes on. In other words, humans are extremely fragile and vulnerable. So in order to survive, they need to upgrade themselves. They need new and better bodies, more durable and highly computerized ones. But you must be thinking right now, what does it have to do with languages anyway? Well, let me ask you a simple question. Do you think installing an old operating system on a new computer is a wise idea? Please put your hands up if you think so. Installing an operating system on a new computer. Do you think it's a wise idea?
Well, if the computer is not working right, it's too slow.
Oh, well, I don't see that many hands. Actually, I don't see any hands.
There's my hand.
Anyway, I don't see that many hands, so I'll take this I'm right. We don't need old software on a new hardware. Simple as that. And the same principle applies to the humans in the future. They won't need old features of their bodies, including the ability of verbal communication. They need something new, more sophisticated way of communicating with each other. And I think that can be done with only one language, one common language, a computer language. As you can see, distant future is very weird, in my opinion. And I'm sure many of you disagree with me. I'm sure many of you think that I'm wrong, and you are free to believe that I'm wrong. And some of you possibly don't want the future to be like that, simple as that. But maybe you are right. I don't know, maybe you are right. But then again, as a famous astrophysicist Carl Sagan once said, the truth may be puzzling. It may take some time and work to grapple with. It may be counterintuitive. It may contradict with our prejudices. It may not be consonant with what we desperately want to be true, but our preferences do not determine what's true. Close quote, and thank you very much.
შემდეგი გამოსვლელი გახლავთ სალომე ნიკოლეიშვილი.
Hello. Actually, I was the last one preparing this for competition, and I wasn't even expecting to be here today. My name is Salomon Nikolayishvili. I'm in my second year of studies. My major is psychology and my minor is film studies. And today I'd like to talk about the benefits of polyglottism. And my presentation topic is everybody should speak at least 2 languages. So, globalization has put an order in learning of several languages at every level of society. In the past, communication between countries were not widely spread, and only the elite had access to foreign languages. Nowadays, with technical progress, you can easily contact with people who live on the other side of the world and do business with them. And knowing foreign languages apart from your mother tongue can easily give you the surprising benefits. I want you to show some examples of what kind of benefits can bring polyglottism. Studying foreign languages improves your cognitive skills, which is important to gain success. It also can guarantee a better paid job, and while developing communication skills helps you to represent your country, culture, company, or yourself abroad. Foreign language also gives you access to original text and movie voice without having to depend on translation, subtitles, or dubs. Where generally ordinary humor or sense of characters are completely lost. Well, also, it brings international relations and worldwide friend circle, which is really great, I think. Studies have shown that bilingual people do better in mental challenges and are more skilled in multitasking than those who have just one tongue. And bilingual people always test their brains, they easily slip in and out of both languages. And studies have shown that psychological research has shown that there's less chance of dementia and Alzheimer's disease between those who speak at least 2 languages. You can see the results of the research on the slide, and if someone doesn't know, dementia is brain disorder. It is memory problem. You lose memory after time during your aging, and it can characterize a stroke. And Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia. To sum up, I think that developing foreign languages turns you into a more focused person, and your understanding of human nature grows a lot. That was all I wanted to talk about. Thanks for your attention, and if anybody has any question, I'll be happy to answer it.
შემდეგ გამოსვლელი გახლავთ შორენა ზოსიძე. ხალთ.
Hello, thanks for coming. I'm Shorla. I'm going to talk about in the future there won't be so many languages in the world. Have you heard about the Tower of Babel? Some people think it's a legend, while others are pretty sure it's a history. Anyway, the story is as follows. At the beginning, the whole earth spoke the same language, but the English humanity gathered in Babylon and set about to build a great tower to reach upon the heaven. As Babel soon became the center of false worship, people started to worship idols. God stepped in to confuse the language of mankind, and so common languages were born, and many were scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. Did this essentially take place in the history or not? No one knows exactly, but this fact is believed that as the birth of different languages. That is the reason why many people think that if the whole mankind spoke the same language at the time of Babylon, this is also possible. In the future, there won't be so many languages in the world. More of that argue that life would be easier if the whole world speak the same language. Whole countries speak the same language. Their point of view is very clear. In the era of globalization, people of different nations are anyway forced to communicate with each other. To communicate with somebody, you both need to speak at least one language. It is one common language, and if we, the whole world, speak the same language, then we will not need to learn some international language from our early childhood. They say that notwithstanding the fact that not everyone likes to learn some foreign languages, we anyway force our children to study languages, assuring them that they will not be able to get good jobs if they can speak at least 2 languages. But if the whole mankind spoke the same language, we will not have such kind of problem to solve. Anyway, I don't agree with this statement. I don't think that it is possible in the future that there won't be the whole world to speak at the same language. And I even don't like that. I don't like this idea that I think I have some reason for doing so. First of all, I believe that it is technically impossible for the whole world to have one common language. Gilbert Hyde said, language is a living thing, and we can feel it changing. Part of it became old. They drop off and are forgotten. New pieces bud out, speed into leaves, and become big branches and proliferating. I totally agree with this position. I believe that languages are living organisms, change all the time. It is intertwined everyday life, and everyday life different parts of the world is different, so languages also change in different ways. For example, if the whole world speaks the same language, then after decades, the language spoken in Brazil will be totally different from the language spoken, let's say, in Japan. And so after some time we get many different languages. Next, a national language represents a national identity of the country. National identity is a person's sense of belonging to one nation. A feeling one shares of a group with a group of people. Our culture, history, religion, and our traditions make us what we are. The representatives of different nations with a certain trait in character that differentiates us as alive and helps us maintain our national uniqueness. That's why, as it is well known from our history, that every invader of our country forced Georgian people to speak their language. As knowing the nation of this language, it is the best way to control it. As when the nation forges its own language, it also forges about its history, about its traditions, and eventually it gets assimilated to the countries. For example, after the Russian occupation in the beginning of the 19th century, Georgian language was forced out even in church, and the Russian language was imposed everywhere. Luckily, Georgian people were wise enough to rebel furiously against forces. So I truly believe that in the era of our globalization, if we want to maintain our culture and national identity, we really need to grasp our language and never let it disappear. Thank you for the attention.
დიდი მადლობა შორენა. სანამ ვიდეო გამოსვლებზე გადავართ, ბოლო ეს ავტორს მოუხმობ, ეს გახლავთ თიმიკო აბილაშვილი.
ხალთ მოусმინოთ პრეზენტერს თუ შეიძლება.
Okay. გამარჯვებულთა არტიკულაშვილი და წარმოგვიდგენს თემას, რომლის სათავეც არის უცხოენების სწავლა არის მნიშვნელოვანი დღესდღეობით. In Georgia we have proverb like that, however many languages you speak, that's how many people you are. There is no doubt about it that foreign language skills are becoming more and more important. In fact, English is, according to some studies, the most widely spoken language in the world. Approximately 1.5 billion people around the world speak English, but why limit yourself? What about other 5.5 billion people who don't speak any English at all? Let's fact it, language and culture go hand in hand. If you want to learn some about Kenyan, Indian, or Chinese culture, you should probably learn some Swahili, Hindi, or Mandarin, respectively. Imagine learning about American culture without understanding English. Imagine trying to understand the works of Shakespeare without actually knowing what the word means. Culture subtitles and pop culture reference might be totally lost without some grasp of local language. Also, knowledge of foreign language increases your chance to find a better job or getting a promotion. Foreign language skills are important in most occupations these days. For example, business. Global communication is essential for business today. In government, some studies show that 80% of government jobs require foreign language skills. Also, academic work. Professors often travel to foreign countries to attend conferences and share research. I can definitely say that foreign language study forces us to think about the structure and role of a language in a whole new way. This deliberate examination, we
which gives your brain a workout. New research shows that being multilingual makes you smarter, so you don't need to be interested in other culture or overseas travel to enjoy the benefit of knowing foreign languages. Even knowing some basic words can break the ice when you are in a foreign country. This is not the same being able to have an entirely conversation, but some people appreciate the fact that you are trying to speak their language. As you can see, foreign language skills will open your eyes to new sites, opportunities, and experience. The possibilities are endless. Thank you for your attention.
მადლობა. ახლა კი მოვხმობ ლანა გოგონიშვილს, რომელიც წარმოვიდგენს მის ვიდეო თამაშს.
But before I get started, let me just say thank you for giving this opportunity. It's a pleasure for me to present this video about the subject which is very important for me. But before I get started on my video, let me just say sorry for my voice and for my posture because I have a medical condition today. I'm really sick, so I'm sorry I'm gonna speak like this. So when I first applied for this competition, I didn't know which one to do, a video or a essay. So I did the most random thing I got on the internet and started looking up the pictures of languages and how languages are good to learn and stuff. So I found this picture and I clicked on it because I liked it very much. I wanted a PowerPoint. I wanted to do a PowerPoint, and it opened me a page which said, language is a part of a soul into which thoughts run and out of which they grow. And this is the words of famous American poet Oliver Wendell Holmes. So if you just really read it, it doesn't really mean anything, but if you just think about it, it means a world. Just imagine if you could not speak, if you did not have any language, what would you do? How would you express if there's pain inside you, if there is sorrow or happiness or excitement? What would you do? Would it not be sad not to be able to express what you feel? So I guess language is really a part of the soul, which makes thoughts to run in your head and makes you express it in a very beautiful way. So this is how I started my video. Also, into which thoughts run and out of which they grow. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Hello, my name is and I'll be talking about languages as an open door to a whole new culture and a whole new world. And if why, I would like to know more languages. Learning a foreign language takes time and dedication. The reasons below may help me to convince you to take a plunge if such persuasion is needed. Some of the reasons why I would like to know about foreign language is practical, some inspirational, some intellectual, and others sentimental. But mostly, I think it will help a person like me who is interested in politics and the cultures of other people to succeed in life and career. So in this video I said that learning a foreign language takes time and dedication, and right here I'm speaking from my own experience because when I first got into school, my school did not support English language, unfortunately. It was only supporting Russian language, which is also a very beautiful language, I would like to say. But other schools were supporting at least two languages, so my parents were smart and they decided to change the school. And I moved into a different school the next year. And when I got in there, my classmates could already speak and spell in English, basic things like words which they learned. And it took me a lot of time as education. I remember I could not even hang out with my friends or use a computer or phone just because I wanted to get to the point where my classmates were, and I wanted to succeed with them after. So it took me a lot of time. So I thought I should have put this in the video and then explain it later. So here I am. Immigration. When I moved into a different country, I learned the local language will help me to communicate and integrate with the local community. Even if I don't speak my language or English, doing so will demonstrate my commitment time and effort to learn their language, and not just a foreigner who just came to do their job in there. I think doing so demonstrates my commitment and dedication to the country, and it will also give me a trust of the people that I'm gonna work with. So this is my first personal immigration. And let me just say, as I already said in the video, I would like to travel a lot in different countries because I like different cultures. So I would like to get to know with most of them. So immigration was my commitment and dedication to a new country. Here is the other reason: family and friends. If your family member or friend speaks a different language, learning that language will help you to communicate with them. It will also give you a better understanding of what their culture is like. Work. So, family and friends. Well, me as a person, I think that you are not a complete person if you do your job and leave your family behind. And I don't think you're a complete person if you do your family with your family and leave your job behind. You're only complete when you can do both together. So, both are very important to me. And I'm a very proud person to say that I have friends from many different countries. I have friends from Germany, I have friends from Japan, Pakistan, India, did I say Germany? Yes, I did. Okay, Germany, France, and many other countries. And this is an example from my life how I became best friends with a German guy, which was very unsociable and shy. I remember we were walking in the mall one day, and he saw this white shirt with annoying writings on it, and he's like, I like it, I want to have this. So he was talking about it on and on and on. So I decided to get this shirt for him, his birthday, and this is what I told him. Öffne deine Geschenke, Bruder, which means open your gift to my brother in German language. And this is what he told me. He started me and he's like, Lana, your accent is terrible, but thank you for learning my language. And he was so excited that he called his mom, dad, grandmother, and grandfather to tell them what I did. So I figured that when you talk to people in their language and show them that you put a time and effort in what you did, they appreciate you a lot and they become your friend. And actually, Nick, his name is Nick, he's coming over this summer to stay at my house for 2 weeks. So I guess language will help you anyway. So another reason is work. Business people don't bother to learn a language because they think that most people they do business with can speak English. If they don't, interpreters can be used. But let's look at this the other way. While discussion, locals can use their own language to discuss things among themselves without English speakers understanding, and using interpreters slows everything down. So here is what I think. As a person, I never like to be left out of conversation. I always want to be part of everything, what's going on, and be very active, even though I don't look very active today. And yeah, just imagine if you are, let's say, in France, and there's 20 people around the table and they're discussing some subject that you guys are doing business about, and these 20 people have their own ideas about the topic that you are discussing. And just imagine you have only one translator with you, one interpreter with you, who can just tell you what is going on and what they're talking about, and you're just let out of conversation. It will take you a whole day. If you could speak French, you could visit an Eiffel Tower and eat delicious French food. That's why I'm going to make sure that I learn French before I do my business with French people. The other language is study and research. You're going to relate to this one. When I get on the internet to find information about subjects that I'm interested in, I find out that mostly it's published in a different language. Learning that language would help me to enable me to get to the information and also to communicate with fellow students and researchers, which is a great opportunity. So, this is a quite deep topic for me. As a person, I always dig into the past. I don't know why, but I'm interested in what was in the past and what's going to be in the future. But as I can't see what's in the future, I Google everything about history and about past. And I can describe you how many times I've tried to get to the information in details about ancient Egypt. And I could never find it because it was in Arabic language. And how many times I copied it and pasted it in a Google Translate, and Google Translate would just turn into a total nightmare, and I was sad then. So fortunately, I speak English and I could find the same information in English language. The other reason is secret communication. This is the funny one. When I was 3 and 4 years old, I remember I used to love sweets and candy very much, and I still do. And I used to eat a whole bunch if possible, and it's not healthy, so my mom and dad used to hide it away from me. And I remember them speaking in Russian where the candy was hidden, so I couldn't find it anymore. So
corruption. I wanted my candy. But seriously though, when Boston were held, people who spoke Welsh served radio stations as code speakers. Same tactic was used in both worlds.
So I don't even want to get started on my relationship about sweets and candy, but since it's in this video, I have to say, my parents would buy about 2 or 3 kilos of candy for New Year's, and they would hide it at night. And I would get up at night and eat it. I would search the whole house, I would eat it, and then when in the morning they would ask me where the candy is, I would say that huge gigantic mouse ate it, but nobody would believe me, but at least I had to try. So yeah. Secret communication. My parents don't have that anymore though.
So I guess learning a foreign language can help you in many different ways. And personal growth. I remember when I was a child, I saw this TV show about third world countries, and I felt very bad about these people. I remember seeing these skinny people holding their children in their hands and seeing that they don't have any clean water. They don't have food for weeks, and they don't have doctors to cure their children who need to get into medical condition. So I thought, there has to be a way out of this. There has to be a way to help these people. And I found this wonderful, wonderful people called Peace Corps, which volunteer to go into these countries and help these people. And my goal today is to become a Peace Corps, travel to third world countries and help these people.
So, I don't know if it's only me or it's maybe everybody else, that sometimes I get sad. I get so sad about facts that there's a sorrow in my heart. And I go to my friends which are here today, Salome, Mary, and Dimitri, and I go to them and I talk to them about how I feel. And they do their best to listen to me and give me a big hug after that. So I think that helping a person doesn't mean giving them money, giving them shoes or outfit. Helping them means to communicate with them, and being able to give them a great big hug comes out of understanding them. So I heard that when you speak English and when you're fluent in English, you can learn third world country languages very easily. So first I'm going to become fluent in English language to be able to learn foreign languages of the third world countries. So here is what I feel the true Peace Corps is and what should the true Peace Corps do.
And to be a true Peace Corps, I think you need to learn the language. You need to learn the language of people you're visiting. To truly feel their pain, to truly become a family member of theirs. To truly feel what it means to live in a third world country where mother nature decides who dies first, you or your child. When you communicate with these people on their language, the future becomes bright. They gain love for their lives and hope, which is most important.
So at the end of the video, I'm saying what it means to be a true Peace Corps. Then I'm saying that the language is a key to a world of peace. And let's imagine two people standing right here today, and they're arguing that they can't understand each other's languages, but they are arguing constantly. They can't stop just because they don't speak each other's languages. If they spoke each other's languages, here's what they would do. They would compromise. So learning a foreign language, I think, is a key to a peace, stopping terrorism, stopping death of so many innocent people.
At the end of this video, I would like to say that everyone should learn as many languages as they can, because I think the language is a key of the world peace and one love. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you. Have a great day.
თორმეტ ჩახარიძეს თხოვ წარმოგიდგენს ეს ვიდეო.
In this way,
Just before I present my video, I'd like to say that this competition was actually a great experience for me because I got to introduce some really interesting theories in psycholinguistics in which I was very interested in before, but there was a real thing. I had to research and study things I always liked. So there are some fellow scientists I have to give credit to, Lara Boroditsky, who became my hero in psycholinguistics, and I've never heard of her before. And some other people who actually did this research, they went to these places like Australia, Africa, and many other countries and places to study the languages which are dying, and they had to actually record these languages in paper, in audio files to reserve them and for us to have them, because there are like 5-7 people speaking these languages. Some languages are so endangered that they are called critically endangered languages. So I'll just push play right now, and you can stop me at any time if you can ask questions or any comment or anything.
In this video, I'll try to explain how this language shape the way we think and how different languages.
And also, I'd like to add that there are 3 major topics that I cover in this video. And the first is how does a language shape the way we think, and how different languages shape, how different languages hold different systems of knowledge, and how language is a system of thought in general. And the third is why is it dangerous that languages disappear. So.
Shape the way we think and how different languages hold different systems of knowledge, and why is it dangerous that languages disappear. There are up to 6,000 different spoken languages in the world, and almost half of them are predicted to go extinct in the next few decades. In just 100 years from now, there will be only 600 languages spoken in the world, and language dies every 2 weeks. And we have to know and understand what kind of impact is it going to have on our intellectual development. But for this, we have to know what a language is.
Some people who are interested in reserving endangered languages, as I said before, critically endangered languages, wonder that do we really need to reserve these languages because we don't speak those languages, nobody does, 5-7 people in Africa, and that's not too much, that's not a reason to reserve those languages because they are not useful enough to be reserved. And these researchers actually took a lot of effort to persuade these people that the more languages we have, the more capacity we have to think. And in order to understand that and fully appreciate what that idea is, we have to know what a language is. And that's the definition of language, my definition of language.
Language is not just a set of words or phrases used in conversation. Language is much more than that. Language is a system of different combinations of ways to communicate that have to do a lot of traditions, beliefs, values, history, art, and so on. Language is also tied with our national and cultural identities. For the most part, I think that language is a system of knowledge, of thought, which really shapes the way we think and the way we perceive the world. And this is also why different people speak different languages in the world in completely different ways, which I think is something very beautiful and valuable and has to be celebrated. Let me give you some examples to help you understand what I mean by saying that different people speak different languages in the world in different ways.
And after I pause this video for the second time, I'd like to insert a lovely experiment done by Lara Boroditsky, and just listen closely to what I'm saying here, and we can see the actual results of this experiment in just like 2 minutes.
There are people who define space and time differently from the speakers of European languages. For example, there's a small community in Australia called Conqueror, whose members use cardinal direction terms such as north, east, west, and south to define space, instead of words like right, left, back, and forward.
So what I mean by this is that the person belonging to that community, Conqueror, they would say that your southeast leg looks awkward, instead of saying that your left leg looks awkward because they think in these terms, using these terms, and they have to stay focused all the time. So if you stop a person belonging to the community and ask them where you're going, they will be able to tell you exactly the exact direction they're going to. And they are not as confused as we are all the time because they have to stay oriented all the time. That's the beauty of their language and their system of knowledge.
This really means that they have to stay focused and oriented all the time when they speak their native language. Also, there are people who define time differently from us. They tend to arrange events according to their writing system. For example, the speakers of Arabic and Hebrew would arrange events from right to left, while the Israeli community I just mentioned before would arrange events using their spatial orientation skills.
What I mean by this is that it's funny how I add the definitions and examples and definitions of those statements I just made in this video. If we had two different events, like I woke up and I went to school, for example, a person who speaks Arabic, whose mother tongue is Arabic, would arrange those events from going to school to waking up. And if we had more events, like 4, 5, 6, and so on, the people belonging to the community, Australia, called Growth, would arrange those events on a circle using their spatial orientation skills. So we would start here and then go there and make a full circle. That's the idea.
There are also some languages such as Chinese, which don't even differentiate between grammatical tenses. For example, the Chinese would use the exact same verb form for past, present, and future tenses. So just because they don't differentiate between the tenses, between the present and the future, let's say, the Chinese don't think of future as something that is completely removed from their reality or something that is distant. And some studies have actually shown that Chinese are much better at making financial decisions, and they are more mindful of the future than Americans, for example. There are also languages in which they can find many different words for different shades of colors. There are languages in which people don't even differentiate between blue and green. There are languages in which every single object has to have a grammatical gender, and there are also languages in which there's no such thing as grammatical gender.
There's an interesting example. We should take Finnish and Hebrew and compare two different groups of children speaking Finnish and Hebrew as their mother tongues. The children whose first language, whose mother tongue is Finnish, actually, and all this is linked to the grammatical gender topic. These children who speak Finnish as their first language actually start to self-identify their gender a year later than the children who speak Hebrew as their first language. Because in Hebrew, every single object, this mic, the bottle, a cup, or anything has to have a grammatical gender. So all the cats might be female and all the dogs might be male and so on and on. In Finnish, there's no such thing. They don't differentiate between genders grammatically. And so, in addition, the children start to self-identify their gender a year later than Hebrew-speaking children.
There are some languages in which only count words you can find are 1, 2, and many. So all these different languages hold different ways to think, and all of them are completely unique and beautiful. And when we let the languages be put at risk of extinction, we don't just lose these languages, but we also lose a great deal of ideas and history in them.
And I'd like to that there's no two similar languages, like each language is unique and each language holds a unique system of thought and a unique system of knowledge. So if that language disappears, there will be no other language replacing those very ideas and history and all the possible things related to that language, because every single language holds unique systems, and that's the saddest part of the idea that languages disappear on a daily basis.
As we are shrinking the amount of languages we have, we are also shrinking our capacity to think in different ways and innovate. But we humans are endlessly creative and inventive, and this is the reason we need these many languages.
So humans are creative and inventive by nature, so it is natural for us to have these many languages, and it is unnatural to have one single language or two or three global languages. It is natural for us to be inventive, to reinvent ourselves, our culture, ideas, and so on and on. So this is the very reason, and I think this is the answer to the question that it might be better to have just one language in the world, and the answer is no, because it's unnatural for us. We need many, many languages to develop intellectually.
6,000 different languages mean 6,000 unique systems of knowledge and 6,000 different versions of the universe. So when a language dies, the universe dies with it. So let's just be more mindful of the future and keep languages from perishing. Let's just celebrate the diversity which enriches each and every one of us. Thank you. In this video,
that was my video, and now's the experiment done by Laura Brodetsky, and she has done this experiment for several times, I think. I think that's one of her most famous theories. She goes to different colleges like Harvard, MIT, all those great colleges, and she asks a group of professor students, fellow young people who are going to be professionals in the next few years, to point at some cardinal direction, let's say southeast, and that would be my question to you. Could you point southeast just right now? Yes, just in like 2 seconds. Yes, I don't see any hands pointing anywhere. Come on. Okay. 1.
Is that right?
Could you point southeast just right now? No. 2 hands, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're done. Time's up. Okay. What this really means is that speakers of European languages, Indo-European, we could say, talking about Georgian, we have trouble understanding, defining, identifying, and so on and on, everything actually that has to do with cardinal directions, because we speak the language which does not really incorporate those terms. And that amazing and beautiful language they speak in Australia, that small community, they just feel cardinal directions in their body and in their mind, because that's how they were grown up. So they think using those terms, and the results of this experiment is the same in every single college, university, and all the amazing places. Like the cleverest people and professionals, professors who speak like 5, 6, 7 languages, have invented many different things, have famous theories, cannot point southeast. And that's funny and very interesting, I think. That would never happen in that community I've just mentioned before. So thank you. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, just ask them. That way. So you, is it Tamil your name?
I was right.
You wait.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you very
დიდი მადლობა ყველა პრეზენტერს საინტერესო პრეზენტაციებისთვის. მე ძალიან მოხარული ვარ, რომ პრინციპში დავնახავ ჩვენ იმ მიზანს, რომელიც დავისახეთ ამ ინიციატივაზე მუშაობის დროს მივახციეთ. რამე თუ არა მარტო ჩვენ ხელი შევიწვევთ, თქვენ კიდევ ერთხელ გივარჯიშათ ინგლისურ ენაზე საუბარში, ინგლისურ ენაზე წერაში, ინგლისურ ენაზე კითხვაში, არამედ კიდევ ერთხელ მოგეცათ თქვენ საშუალება გაფიქრებულიყავით ამ მეტად აქტუალურ თემაზე დღევანდელ დღეს. ყველა ასაკის ადამიანისთვის აქტუალურ თემაზე, როგორც უცხო ენების შესწავლა და პრინციპში ჩვენს ბოლოდის კიდევაც გადააჭარბებთ, იმიტომ რომ აქ სიღრმისეული მეცნიერული მიდგომების და ნაზრების კი იყო გაჟღერებული, ასე რომ ძალიან დიდი მადლობა. მე ვხედავ, რომ ინტერესი თქვენი არის ძალიან დიდი უცხო ენების შესწავლისადმი, რაც პრინციპში ჩვენთვის ბრიტანეთის საბჭოსთვის არის ძალიან მნიშვნელოვანი, იმიტომ რომ სწორედ ამაზე ვმუშაობთ, რომ ხელი შეგიწყოთ მაქსიმალურად რომ ისწავლოთ ინგლისური საუკეთესო დონეზე და ჩვენ კიდევ უფრო მოტივირებული ვართ თქვენი დღევანდელი დღის მერე, რომ მაქსიმალური გავაკეთოთ ამ მიმართულებით, ასე რომ ძალიან დიდი მადლობა. ეხლა კი ჩვენი საპატიო ჟიურის წევრებს ვთხოვ, რომ კიდევ ერთხელ გადახედონ ნამუშევრებს, მიიღონ გადაწყვეტილება, შეგვატყობინენ ამ გადაწყვეტილების შესახებ და შემდეგ უკვე ვიტყვით რა გახლავთ პრიზები და იქნება დაჯილდოება. დიდი მადლობა. დიდი მადლობა ყველას. პატარა აუსაგვერდება, მე ძალიან მინდა რომ ისე ძალიან გულწრფელად გადესაუბროთ და მაინტერესებს თქვენი აზრი, თქვით თუ არა რომ ესეთი კონკურსები, თუნდაც პატარა წამახალისებელი ინიციატივები არის მნიშვნელოვანი და რას გასწრებს თქვენ ეს მაინტერესებს და კიდე გარდა ამისა მე მაინტერესებს რა აზრი გაქვთ, რა ხოვნა გაქვთ, რაში თქვა გაქვთ ჩვენს მიმართ, რომ ჩვენ კიდევ უფრო მეტად შეგიწყოთ ხელი თქვენი ბიზნესის მიღწევაში. დიდი მადლობა პატრიციული ჟიურის წევრებს, მათ მიიღეს გადაწყვეტილება, ძალიან ამამრებელი მომენტია და დავიწყოთ მესამე ადგილით. თუ პირველით. მესამე. სანამ გამოვაცხადოთ გამარჯვებულებს, მანამდე მინდა ბატონ საზას ვთხოვო ერთი-ორი სიტყვით შეაჯამოს გადაწყვეტილება ჟიურის.
ძალიან დიდი მადლობა და მეცნიერად ძალიან თული იყო გადაწყვეტილების მიღება, ნამუშევრები იყო განსხვავებული, ძალიან ბევრი გიშრომიათ ჩანდა და მარტო ჩვენ გავიგეთ ძალიან ბევრი ენების შესახებ, მარტო ესეთი ინფორმაცია, რომელიც ახალია არ ქონდა. საინტერესო იყო ძალიან ასევე და კიდევ ერთხელ დიდი მადლობა ჩართულობისთვის, ყველაზე დიდი მადლობა თქვენ სტუდენტებო, იმიტომ რომ თქვენ ჩართულობის გარეშე თქვენი ენთუზიაზმი შეუძლებელი ენების მიერ კონკურსის ნახორციელება. თუმცა მე კონკურსზე უნდა გამოგვივინა ძალიან ბევრი გიდარეთ, რთული იყო, მართლა რთული იყო და მოგიტარეთ თუ რაც შევეცადეთ მაქსიმალურად ობიექტური გადაწყვეტილება ყოფილიყო, მე მგონი ეს გამოგვივინა. მოკლედ მე ცდილობ დავედიება და ვასახელო მესამე ადგილის მფლობელი და ამით მინდა თავიდან გავაფრთხილო გამარჯვებულები, რომ უჩინო გაწახდეთ, იმიტომ რომ გარკვეულთა საჭირო ფეისბუქზე და საჭირო პრესის გადაცემის შემდეგ და ეხლა მინდა რომ გავაფრთხილოთ. მესამე ადგილის მფლობელი გახდა თინიკო აგულაშვილი. პრიზი გახლავთ iPod Touch.
ესე მოხდა რომ მეორე ადგილზე ვინც გავიდა, სწორედ იმის პრეზენტაციას არ ვესწრებოდი, მაგრამ სრულად დავეთანხმე გადაწყვეტილებას ჩემი კოლეგების, იმიტომ რომ ის არის ჩემი სტუდენტი და წინვარე სტუდენტი, მეორე ადგილი აიღო თორნიკე ჭაპარიძე.
iPod. ილიას. რაც მნიშვნელოვანია პირველ ადგილის მფლობელს წარმოგიდგენს ქალბატონი ხანმა.
რადგან ივლისში არ ყოფილა გადაწყვეტილება არ მისცეს ვიცი როგორც მიიღეს რა თქმა უნდა მაგრამ არ მიიღია მონაწილეობა ამიტომ ვერ ვიტყვი რა და როგორ მაგრამ გამარჯვებული გახავთ მარია ფერიშვილი და
Except for speech, I think.
მნიშვნელოვანი ის მეგავინერო სწავლობთ სკოლაში ისურს, მაგრამ მქონდა კონკურსი საუბრის. სწავლობთ ბრიტანეთის სამართლოში ოხონდა ეს თანამო, სადაც შეიძლება ერთად პროგრამით აქტივისტებს და შეიძლება ვთხოვა. ზოგადად საქართველოს სამართლობარაკო მასწავლებლად ერთად ყოველთვის ქართულთაობენ და ამ დეცენტრალიზებულობა. დროს ინდონეზია არის ქართული ენა, It's a South American I'm looking for very difficult examples to train on the Iلیas სახელმწიფო უნივერსიტეტს, ჩვენი
რომელიც დააფინანსა ჩვენი გამარჯვებულის ვიზიტი, ერთკვირიანი ვიზიტი ბრიტანეთში. ეს გახლავთ cultural experience course, რომელიც არა მარტო საშუალო სისტემას რო გაიცნოს ბრიტანულ კულტურას და დაასრულოს ლონდონი, არამედ რა თქმა უნდა გაიგოს ინგლისური ენის სწორდა, იმიტომ რომ გაკვეთილებიც კი არის ამ პროგრამაში. ასე რომ წარმატებები კიდევ უფრო ყველა წარმატებებს გისურვებ, ძალიან დიდი მადლობა. მაგრამ მე მინდა გავაჟღერო ეს ინფორმაცია ჩვენ ბრიტანეთის საბჭომ, ასე ვთქვათ, საბჭოს გადაწყვეტილებით პატარა წამახალისებელი პრიზი გვინდა გადავცეთ ერთ მონაწილეს, რომელიც ფინალში ვერ მოხვდა, წარმოდგენილი ჰქონდა ესე, თუმცა მან გააკეთა ძალიან მოინდომა და ძალიან ესეთი ინოვაციური მიდგომით შემოგთავაზა მარტივი გზავნილი თუ რატომ მნიშვნელოვანი უცხოების სწავლა და რა საშუალებები არსებობს და წესები არსებობს უცხოების დაუფლებისთვის. შესაბამისად ამ მონდომებისთვის და ინოვაციურობისთვის და წარმოვიდგენთ მის ვიდეოს გადავცემთ პატარა პრიზს ლია ებილაშვილს. აიტონ ჩახოს. მე წარმოგიდგენთ მის პატარა ვიდეოს. ძალიან მარტივი ზავნილია და ძალიან ვიგავებ თქვენს ნახატს. მან ის ბლოგს ინგლისურ საშუალოზე დაბოლტონეს და შესაბამისად ესეც გვინდოდა რომ ამ კუთხიდან წაგვახარისებია. ძალიან დიდი მადლობა ყველა მონაწილეს, დიდი მადლობა დამსწრე საზოგადოებას, დიდი მადლობა ჟიურის საპატიო წევრებს, ხელოვნების საინტერესო და სახალისო დღისთვის, ისურვებ წარმატებებს და კარგად გზარდებოდეთ. გამარჯვებულები აწამებდეთ ისინი. სერტიფიკატები გადაეცემათ ყველა მონაწილეს, ივეტა აბრამიას ცნობთ ყველა მე მგონი, C 411-ში მიბრძანით და ყველას გამოგეცემა სერტიფიკატები. დიდი მადლობა.